Having to run and hide from the necklace consort and find a way to open up some doors, Ahai makes it to the other side, but is attacked by the necklace consort. She is rescued by a still alive Sue, who throws some flowers at the ghost, and they both make it to safety. A short ways down the corridor they see another ghost. This one is friendly, and Sue says that this is the ghost of Huan Ting Ting, the girl who went missing in the year 2000. Sue says that her spirit has been helping her escape. She is directing them towards a strange room. Inside the room is a massive plinth, and an echo reveals that Huang Ting Ting entered into this room before she went missing. A door opens, and proceeding further into the corridor, a rumbling occurs, similar to an earthquake. She finds a strange shape and uses it to make up the yin-yang symbol, and this opens up another door. Inside this one, there are a bunch of symbols and seals. In the middle is something known as the Circle of Wu. Placing the lantern onto a plinth powers the circle up, and inside the circle, they see the Dark One. The spirit has clearly been locked away, and for good reason. A door opens, and out of the darkness comes the evil Sarge. So let's see what Doc and Richie were up to. Well, after Richie's fall down to the level below, he and Doc gather themselves and push on, eventually coming into contact with the green orb again. The orb reveals a series of drawings and markings on a wall which appear to depict an entity being locked away in the university. Finding another strange room, Doc and Richie extinguish some candles in order to open a door. Doc receives a call from his great uncle, who is a priest at a temple. He's not very happy and tells Doc that he's messing with stuff he shouldn't. Whilst telling Doc to leave the place, the line goes dead. Richie and Doc get separated, and finding a way around, Doc comes to an electrical room. He needs to power 2 sectors up in order to open a big door, the exit, but this is made all the more difficult by the presence of the angry evil Sarge. Escaping him, Doc proceeds further down the hallway and comes across another strange room. In this one, Doc has to match elements to the elements that defeat them. For example, water beats fire, and this opens up the exit door. Progressing further again shows Doc that the previous wall markings have been altered by the Dark One in an attempt to distort what they actually mean. Ahai calls Doc, and she says that the seal trapping the evil spirit cannot be broken. A little further along, following the green orb, Doc comes across Richie. He seems to have been tricked into performing a ritual by the Dark One. He's being manipulated and has marks on his arm to show for it. Anyway, Richie has inadvertently released the Dark One from the Circle of Wu. The green spirit was the Dark One all along, and that is what has tricked them into releasing the Dark One. Richie snaps out of it, but it's too late, as the Dark One, now manifesting as true darkness, is released. And they run for it while being chased through various hallways. Doc and Richie unite with Sue and Ahai. They need to go, but Richie bravely tries to close the door, but is gravely injured by the monster. Ahai runs towards Richie, getting trapped inside with the monster and the Sarge. Ahai, well passed out, sees a memory belonging to Yu Yi, and that she didn't die straight away, but she was gravely injured. After spotting his deceased wife, the Sarge carried Yu Yi away. This memory merges into Ahai's own vision, and the Sarge has carried her away and places her down. The Sarge says that he didn't expect her to come back, saying it must be fate. He says that the lamp will protect Ahai's soul, and that she should hold on to it. The Sarge says that the seal has been broken and they don't have much time, and a call from Sue and Doc reveals that they are both fine. Heading into the elevator, Ahai and the Sarge descend to level B3, the level that should not even exist. Passing the stricken corpse of Ting Ting, Ting Ting's spirit asks them to save them all. Finding a strange sculpture, Ahai uses it to create a shadow, and this opens up a doorway, and this leads to a place known as the Gate of Chaos. The gate itself cannot be opened until 2 items are recovered: the Eye of the Daiting and Yan Shuwen's corrupted heart. Heading to one side of the chaotic ruins, Ahai spots something behind a large and fancy door. Removing some seals and avoiding the monster, Ahai manages to get the door open and grabs the first piece, the Eye of the Daiting. Heading to the other side after another encounter with the monster, she heads into what is the final resting place of Yan Shuwen. His corrupted heart, the core of the Dark One, is inside his coffin with his body glowing, and after a chase, Ahai returns to the Gate of Chaos and places both items into the Daiting statue on the gate.
终于啊！
Now, there are two endings to the game, one good and one bad. The lamp is actually the important item in obtaining either a good or bad ending. In the good ending, if Ahai managed to successfully avoid the monster, Sarge picks up the lantern. Now that the Dark One is gone and giving Ahai the prayer beads given to him by his wife, with all of his affairs in order and wanting to be reunited with his wife, the Sarge heads through the gate with the lantern, telling Ahai to go and live her life. After this ordeal, Ahai and Doc finished the film, and she is also working on a script for a film to honour the Sarge and his story. Watching the film in the screening room, Sue also shows up with flowers, saying that she wanted to be there. She reveals that everyone thinks that Richie simply disappeared, and the game then ends. In the bad ending, if Ahai got caught too many times and uses the lamp to repel the monster, therefore breaking the lamp, this means that there is no light source to guide her while she's going through the gate of chaos. This also means that despite the Dark One being gone for good, Ahai will end up forever lost in the Netherworld, unable to find her way back. After this, Sue, despite being very busy, makes time to keep in touch with Doc, who is still trying to find clues in the university in order to try and find Ahai, and Sue visits him at the university. Going to the screening room, they watch the film which Doc finished in order to honour Richie and Ahai, and then Sue leaves. In the parking garage, however, she receives a strange phone call from Ahai. The game then ends. Okay, so as usual, there's a lot to dive in here and elaborate on, but let's start with Wenhua University itself. In the history room, Sue learns that Wenhua University was founded in 1955 by a man named Zhu Wenjiang. Some of you eagle-eyed players out there will recognise the name from the first game. In the first game, which took place in Donghu University, we learned that the students of Donghu were essentially competing with the other universities. At some point, Ji from the first game actually contacts Ahai and warns her that she and her film club should be careful, and mentions that something happened to his group of friends in February of that same year. Anyway, according to the building's history, the Daren building was named after the ideals of perseverance and fortitude. The hope was that students would take on these principles. The location of the university was ideal, limited distractions as it was based in the mountains and sat upon approximately 165 acres of land, being comprised of 4 different schools. The fact that it was sat on a colossal amount of yin and yang energy is significant, as the core principle of yin and yang is that everything needs to be in harmony. They are opposites, yet they complement each other. 2 separate parts needed to make one whole. It's a complicated topic, but I'd be eager to hear your thoughts on yin and yang, and more specifically how it ties into this story, so leave a comment below with your thoughts. Spooky stuff would start happening every year at the same time, in conjunction with the 7th month of the lunar calendar. Anyway, the university would obviously hit the headlines when in July 2000, a young student, Huang Tingting, would go missing. The university were desperate to save face and doctored the surveillance footage, keeping the master tape locked away in a safe. But let's move on now and look into the architect. The architect for the university, Yan Shuwen, was an award-winning architect who, after working in the UK, had gone back home in order to try and prove himself to the Yan family, who are a long line of successful architects themselves. They disapproved of his new and unique method of using feng shui and his departure from the traditional architecture. One day, Zhu Wenjiang was introduced to Yan Shuwen, and he instantly took a liking to him, so much so that he considered him a perfect suitor to marry his daughter, Zhu Yuyi. Wenjiang had been preparing for this, as he'd already previously sent Yuyi off to a bridal academy in 1955, and there she was able to learn all the things that would make her a good wife and a good mother. The first time Yan saw Yuyi, he was infatuated. As a result of Wenjiang's fondness for Yan, he was chosen to be the architect for the design of the university. Yan gifted Wenjiang with a strange stone, which actually possessed some form of dark energy. The university was built by Yan, who was specialized in the practice of feng shui, also known as Chinese geomancy, which uses the forces of energy to tune people into their surrounding environment. It utilizes the 5 elements: earth, metal, water, wood, and fire, and these elements come from the Taoist tradition, with Taoism being the way of nature. The energy map of Feng Shui is known as Bagua, a Chinese word meaning 8 areas, and you may have seen in the game that the university had 8 trigrams, which was seen in the elevator when uncovered by the lantern. Now these were to be built in a specific order, and this would serve to drive out evil spirits using yin and yang energy. However, Yan had something far more sinister planned for the university. In the conversation with the sergeant, he's telling Sue about the design of the building and says that the direction and angles of the 8 trigrams need to be aligned perfectly, but that in the case of Wenhua, these angles were purposely reversed by Yan. The builders then got to work in constructing it, none the wiser. This action would draw in the evil energy and keep it trapped there inside the building, meaning that anyone trapped there is now stuck there as a ghost or a spirit and is unable to move on or escape. He would research and construct bone and blood arrays which used corpses and skeletons of people that died tragic deaths. This resulted in the creation of extremely powerful evil spirits. In this notebook, Yan states that he needed a border between 2 regions that were rich in yin and yang energy, and that the yin energy gathers in front of the gate of chaos. He also mentioned that he would apply this formation to himself.